listening to the How to Health podcast. Turn up that stereo, plug in those earbuds, or pull up a chair. It's time to master your health journey. Here are your hosts, Dr. Heidi Cook and athletic trainer Tyler Smith. Let's ride.
Howdy ho.
Good morning. How are we doing?
We're doing good. How are you doing?
You know, not too bad. It's been an interesting week thus far, but I'm excited to finish it out strong. Got a conference I have to attend to at the end of the week and be a little social butterfly, which is always my forte. So I'm really excited about that. So
that's probably the top of your list, huh?
It is. I have to sit at a booth and talk to people, which is also bizarre for me, but we'll see how it goes.
Oh, shout out you. You can do it. I believe in you.
Well, there will be another person there. So at the very least, if things go sideways, I can have someone come in and save me. So that's good.
Shout out. Yeah. You can do this.
I can.
You got this. Nice. What else is going on this week? How did last time we talked, you were in the good old Kirk. So how did that shape out?
I think the best way to put that is we definitely had some highlights and some people do well. Some individuals got on the podium and got, some second, third places. And we got about 7 people that made the all Mountain West team. One was like a relay, so it was 4 people, but there were definitely some rough patches in it. And so that's probably, rough patches, but
easiest way to put it.
Yeah, the easiest way to put it. And I was thinking about earlier this week, this is like so if you score really well or you have a good time, like in your event, you go to indoor nationals.
Yeah.
We don't have anyone currently doing that this year. So it's like this weird hodgepodge of like some people taking a break. Some people are still training for outdoor. And it just creates like this mucky, messy week where you don't know what every individual is doing. And you're trying to like plan your day, but every single person's got a different schedule. So it just made it a little messy earlier this week.
Gotcha. Well, hopefully things smooth out.
That's what I'm hoping. But
How long are we in this murky, messy phase?
For about 2 weeks. Okay. And then I think everyone will get kind of straightened out. So we can make it. 2 weeks is not that bad. So yeah. I did one of the shadow boxing videos in Albuquerque.
Let's go.
And so I was going to report back a couple things because I read your father-in-law's email?
Yeah.
Yes. And so there are a couple things. Like I totally understand what he finally meant by like getting the flow of like different
like combos and stuff.
Cause and there were some of them I was like, this is kind of fun, but I also felt like a fish out of water. I was like, I had to slow it way down, which is not bad. But when I came back, I did get back on my bag. He's like, you need to go 3-1 on shadow boxing to the bag. And I was like, well, I'm only doing it twice a week. So that's may not work out as well as one would hope.
Right.
It's not, but you know what I mean? It's like a supplemental exercise for me. This isn't my form of like primary exercise.
Yeah.
And it's also, I get this way sometimes, and this is a me thing. This isn't an anyone else thing. Is when I'm like, I like the guy's videos and he's teaching me a lot. There are times where my wife jokes about this because I've taken like spin classes or stuff like that she has.
Okay.
And I don't like, you can just tell me what to do and I'll do it. That's it. Like you just say, do this, check boxes. You don't have to encourage me to do it. Yeah. You don't have to yell at me to do it. Like you just tell me to do something and it will get done. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And so sometimes my internal monologue when I'm doing those things doesn't mesh with the instructor's way of teaching.
Yes.
So like I have to like phase it out, like a lot of those, like they're either too like military-ish for me. Like I'm good. Like like this is discipline and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nope, good. I got all that in my life. You don't have to tell me how to do that.
Yeah.
Or they're like over the top, like cheery. And I'm like, just shush. I'm fine. Just go. We could do this.
Everything's going to be fine.
But I know those things like can respond to different people.
Totally.
And so usually within different genres of like exercise, I just have to find my niche where someone's like, hey, let's do this. And you're like, hey, okay, I could do that. So
I totally understand. Like so that I use the Peloton, right? And there's like a myriad of instructors on the Peloton for, cycling classes alone, but then across different things, they have like different instructors for strength classes or this or that. And you kind of find who you like and who you jive with and whatever. Well, in that, there's a gal that like everybody loves. I feel like everybody loves Kendall Toole. And she is just not my cup of tea.
yeah.
It's not that I necessarily dislike her, but like her mode of motivation is just not it for me. Like I find myself getting more pissed off as she's talking to me
I do that
than happy that I'm getting a workout or like enjoying anything. There's like times where like I would take her ride because everybody loves her so much that I'm like, okay, maybe it was just a bad ride or maybe I was in a mood or whatever. And I like try again. And I'm like, no, I just don't like her style. And I don't even know how to describe it, but like the ones that I've taken, it's just like sometimes I feel like she's like, ride harder, you little bitch. I'm like, okay, it's 6 a.m. Like,
right.
I'm just here for a workout. I don't need this right now.
You're like, or they're like, no matter what is going on in your life, and they like get in this big thing. You're like, I'm just riding a bike. I don't need a psychiatric eval in the middle of this. Like, and some people probably need to hear that. I'm just like, no, I'm good. But I am going to I need to write them down. I used some of the combinations. So I don't know what it is. And I will try to get some shadow boxing in. I will, because I like how like there was a couple of them where it's like you throw like your one hand back to back in a couple things, which just feels weird to me. Like throwing two punches with one hand. I was always like back and forth.
Yeah.
So it's fun to learn those things, but like, I don't know. There's just something about hitting the bag that just feels better. Like I just like it more. So I'm going to like try to do a 1-to-1 bag to just some shadow boxing because it does have a lot of value in like just teaching you the mechanics. And so you don't feel like a baby giraffe walking around. So
slapping a heavy bag.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice. Well, that's exciting. I can't wait to keep hearing updates on your boxing progress.
It's mostly for fun though. Like it's at the end of my workout, like I'll do some weightlifting and then that is my little like finisher type thing for a little bit. So
nice. I'm here for it. I'm excited for you. It's always fun to like get into something new. I remember we've talked about this in excess, but like I was just in my like little routine, and when I did not have like the capacity at the end of trimester 1 to like keep things as they were and just like dabbling and experimenting in other things. And I don't know, it's just like fun to learn something new.
Yeah. How was your week this week?
Week was good. I'm trying to think. Busy, but we were home this weekend, which was a blessing. I was gone the weekend before. I'm gone this upcoming weekend. So it's just nice to have a weekend at home. Really relaxing. Like, the house was clean. I was caught up on laundry. We built little buddy's crib. Got some things checked off the list. got out, and it was super windy all weekend, but like at least it was warm out. It was like, 20-mile-an-hour winds, which sucked, but like it was 65 degrees. So, you can only complain about so many things.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, we got outside. And so that was really nice and just kind of like rejuvenating. I feel like Sam and I both feel when we come back from a vacation together and like we get back into the swing of things, we're both just kind of like sometimes like it's good to get back into like what we like doing and enjoy doing and, all of those things. But sometimes we just get like sad of like, it was really nice to just like spend all day together, and now it's like back to reality. And so having a weekend just like at home, the two of us was really nice and good quality time. We made some good dinners. Sam grilled a steak one night. His boss. Oh, I'm going to give a shout out to this company. P.S. No free ads, but free ads to this company because they are legit. It's called Diamond J Wagyu.
Oh.
We have got and received it as gifts. We have given it as gifts. But it is, the company is run by a family member of somebody that we are friends with. Just like having that tie, to them and just like knowing that we're supporting, a really great family and all of that. And it is fantastic beef. They have ground beef, they have steaks, they have, all sorts of things and different packages and stuff that you can purchase. But Sam and I love it. It's probably been a while since we haven't had that in our freezer as like an option. And so it's always fun to like pull those out for like a fun little home date night and stuff. So Diamond J Wagyu, highly recommend. I'll give them free ads all day long. But anyway, so we were working through some steaks that we got for as a Christmas gift. And so that was our weekend. It was great. And then, we just kind of hit the ground running again this week. Had my 28-week doctor's appointment.
28 weeks.
But I'm only 27 weeks.
No.
But we had scheduling conflicts next week. And we needed to get an appointment in before I went to Hawaii. So, yes, I am officially 27 weeks now. Great doc appointment. Everything's looking good. We're starting to talk more and more about like actual birth, which is fun. So we're doing a lot more like birth prep and all that good stuff. But little babe is looking great. This week, hang tight, hold please. I think I know what he is this week, but I might be confusing it with next week. He is the size of Loading. Look at him though. Just look at him floating in there. He is, yes, the size of a head of cauliflower.
Head of cauliflower.
Yes, head of cauliflower. Or I think this one is a Barbie this week. Yes.
Barbie.
A Barbie. So I've just got Barbie floating around in there. But it's so crazy. I'm so in awe of like his measurements. Like that continues, like the comparisons are always fun, to like give it a visual, but it's just amazing to me like how quickly the weight and the height start progressing at this point, like how quickly he's growing week over week. Like he's like 14 and a half inches and 2.3 pounds. I feel like the last time we talked about this, he was like 1.5 pounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just wild at this point. So anyways, and at the end of this week, so when I cross the chasm into 28 weeks, I will officially be in my 3rd trimester.
That's exciting.
Isn't that wild?
When do you have to stop traveling?
So Hawaii is my last trip that I'm allowed to take. My doctor puts a cut. Every doctor I think is a little bit different. Also depends on like your risk factors and how your pregnancy has been. This trip has been on our radar basically since my first appointment. I brought it up at my first appointment. She was like, as long as everything looks good, you can keep going, but like we'll, reassess as we get closer as well. So like if I had complications or things had been, going awry or this or that, I think it would be a different answer. But I am allowed to travel up until 32 weeks. And then she cuts it off, which I think I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong, is pretty conservative. I don't know if like some doctors have made exceptions. So I've also heard of other doctors just like cutting it off at the 3rd trimester. So yeah, I don't know. It just kind of depends. But when I get back from Hawaii, I think I'll be 31 weeks. And so we'll be buttoned up right against that cutoff and that deadline. So that'll be my last flight. I can still like travel, but I'm not allowed to fly. But that's the last trip that we have planned.
Well, that's good because you're going to be kind of, it's like a little aura over there.
The sun is coming through our very, very dirty window.
I was going to say, it looks like one of those scenes from a movie where the sun's glossing across you and you've been blessed. Yes.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
Anyways, yeah, so things are good. We're just cruising along, and I fly out tomorrow I fly into Boise, but we're going to Gooding to host my sister-in-law's baby shower.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So just babies all around.
Babies everywhere.
I can't get over how crazy this is. We record at like the same time every morning, and this has never happened before.
There's not much sun right now. We had a little bit of snow yesterday, but yeah, not a lot of. The sun has been hiding behind clouds, except I heard, there you go, that it was great weather while I was in Albuquerque, and then I came back and it was not great weather, which seems to be a little unfortunate. I would have liked to enjoy some of that good weather.
Yes, it's supposed to be super nice in Colorado this week. Oh, check that out. I'm so smart. Look at that.
Just amazing.
I put a sticky note that creates the camera lens from this glorious little sunbeam that we've got going on here. Anyways, what was I saying? I got distracted by my ingenuity. The weather. Yes, it's supposed to be so nice in Colorado. Like Sam is planning on going golfing and like having a great weekend without me, and I'm flying into Boise and it's supposed to be like 41 and raining, and I was like sick.
You're like, that is so awesome.
Yeah, I love this for me. Oh well. I was really hoping it would be nice, and then we could have some of the baby shower like outside. But I think that's a high hope for the first weekend of March. First weekend of March is this weekend. Does that not blow your mind that it's like already almost March?
Yes, it does.
I am shook by that fact.
Shook
That it's almost March. 2024 is just flying by.
That is very true. And it's probably going to fly by for you even more.
Yeah. Like I was sitting here thinking I had all this time, and like it's just crazy.
Don't even know what to say.
I know. I'm shook. But that's not the only thing about 2024 that's interesting.
That's a great transition right there.
So I was really trying to tee you up with the 2024 talk, but
I missed it. Swing and a miss. That's my fault, folks. It's all me.
That one's on you. Yeah, I'm excited about today's topic. I feel like every year we do a kind of trends forecast for for what we see is happening, or what we see is on the horizon, and different trends for the year in the realm of health and fitness, and give our takes and commentary, which, if you didn't want our commentary, you wouldn't be here. But our commentary on the the things and trends that we're seeing coming up, kind of our thoughts on good, bad, or how we could maybe tweak them, or just things to keep on your radar, as trends tend to come and go, and how you can either incorporate them in a healthy way, steer clear of particular trends, or incorporate them and kind of embrace them as they kind of rise and fall. And so I'm excited to go through these. Tyler has a list, and then I also have a couple, if they're not on your list, that I would like to contribute, because I think it's just a couple that I saw that were really interesting. But we'll see what's on your list. I have not reviewed Tyler's list, so we're going to be shooting at the hip.
Well, and I think this one is a little bit interesting in the fact that the list that I came across, or that was given to me, it's very much so less on the fitness side and a lot more on the health side of like what these things that are coming, which is interesting because there's a lot of things where, like, I don't know, when I read through them and I went through and I tried to understand them, I think there's a lot of promise here, but there's also a lot of, I don't know, I don't want to use the word skepticism, but like when anything brand new comes out and we're using new technology, there can be I don't want to say a caveat or like a flag is like, is this good or bad? So there'll be some things that we can just kind of discuss and kind of think about, like, if you run into it, and you may not for a little bit, but I know like a lot of these things are coming fairly rapidly. And even the first one, we'll jump right into it, is the idea or the concept of people going to personalized medicine.
That was on my list. It wasn't one that I was going to bring up, but I saw that just kind of as I was doing some perusing in health trends for 2024. Yeah. So give me your kind of summary of what personalized medicine means.
So what they're talking about on this particular thing is looking at you as an individual. And then this is where, like, I don't know how I feel about this, but like a lot of these new things are going to be done in medicine. And I think this is going to be a trend as we get older, with like AI assisting us, because they can do so much stuff so fast. Mm-hmm. So this one in particular is taking AI to analyze your data and your DNA. So when things go wrong, it can calculate like millions of different like drugs and treatment methods, and like kind of run through your DNA, like what drugs would work best. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are starting to think this is going to be, instead of you getting sick and just getting XYZ from a doctor, they're going to personalize your medicine and say, no, actually, I think based on your DNA, you should have this medicine for this many days, and then you're done.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so they're hoping it leads to like better healthcare, more effective healthcare, because you're putting that individual, like everything's tailored not to research based on a bunch of different people, but that one person individually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I definite pros and cons here for sure. I think pros could definitely fill a need as it relates to not giving like blanket protocols to individuals anymore, and like what is it called, like in PT, right? Like we are basically given what's called a CPG, or a clinical practice guideline, for a particular diagnosis, right? And it basically outlines the plan of care for somebody who's diagnosed with, X. But then there's still like clinician discretion
Sure.
based on what we're seeing, how the patient is responding to that CPG. And then like that's where clinical decision making, comes into play. And so unless there's like an extreme level of documentation that's giving AI this like level of feedback from like, this is what you proposed, right? Given like, let's say like a CPG, right? That would be appropriate for this person based on their DNA, based on their, like biological makeup. Great. But then like there's so much that I believe to be driven by the like psychological health. And if you're not giving feedback to that kind of that processing system that's making those decisions, then how are they to know like how to adjust or what to adjust or in things that are more intangible, things that you can't see on a blood panel? You know what I mean? Like, sure, we have psychological evaluations that we can also get scored on, but like it's a much more complex and nuanced than that. So while I think it's cool and it's good and for things that are very biologically driven, so let's say like an antibiotic, right? Or maybe a cancer treatment or things of that nature. I think like I see a lot of promise in to be able to tailor them and take maybe some of the mental load off of those clinicians of making those types of like discretionary decisions out of the gate. But then in other forms of medicine, I think it's going to end up being more work than just having like a seasoned clinician make, their clinical decisions versus sitting there and like typing into this AI bot, this was the patient's response. What do you suggest? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
The upfront back and forth there. And I'm sure it's going to continue to grow and change and just get better and more dialed in. Like, isn't that what everybody's like scared of, is that AI is just going to get so powerful and like take over everybody's jobs?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely, but I think that if you're just going to take AI, or especially with medicine, is you have to learn like how to use it to your advantage. Like what things can it help you with, like before it. Yeah. I think in a personal note, I think we kind of jumped ship on the AI thing. Like we didn't really think about, should we just thought about we can. So let's do this.
So let's do it. Yeah.
And
It's
apparently,
crazy. Like
no scientists have watched like sci-fi movies or horror movies where things go wrong. They're just like, oh, that's not real. We'll just do this anyway. Has no one seen The Terminator? Have we not? Like, this is a very old movie where it happened. But anyway, I think a lot of this, because I was watching this thing where there might be like this doctor's office where like you walk in, like there's a computer, you just like put in your system or your symptoms.
Oh yeah.
And you could like put a finger, it'll draw blood, it'll analyze your DNA, and then it'll tell you, okay, this is what you have, this is what you need, and then you just go get your medicine and leave. Like it would just completely. I think that's probably a little far-fetched and we're not quite there yet, but I do think in some ways it helps clear up. Okay, so my wife works in an emergency room, right?
Yeah.
And there is a plethora. And I don't think this would be anyone we're listening to, of people who go there that don't need to go there. Like they use the ER as your family practice, which if we could get some of this stuff together, I think that would be very helpful to clear up doctors to do the important things that they need to do. You know what I mean? But also to not overrun the system. But I think it's going to be expensive at the beginning, which kind of sucks. But everything is, and you have to have. But again,
then it's not solving the problem that we're saying it's solving, But
I also think you have to have, a couple of things that come to my mind with this in general with expense is like, you look at people now jumping into like peptide therapy, or they have, you know, like peptide therapy for humans or pets. Like I was reading one where they have this, because animals' mitochondria just moves faster than humans. That's why they only last, you know, like they say 7 years for 1 year, right? Well,
Yeah.
they've created this new therapy they're trialing. I don't know if we've talked about this, where you give shots for the animals and they'll live an extra like 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
But it's ridiculously expensive. It's like $20,000 per treatment. But you like have to have those rich people willing to do this to bring down the cost because of, to fund it because of, and I feel like this is going to be the same thing. It's going to be very expensive in nuance, but you have to have those people to fund it to make sure it works. Well, let's let the rich people see if it works, and then we'll go from there.
Well, and like, I mean, think about the first iPod, right? Like, it had the first video iPod where you could watch a movie on a screen that was like as big as, you know, your thumbnail, essentially. Yeah. And they were like, they were expensive for an iPod, right? Like, and today, to get like just an MP3 player, which I don't even know if you can do.
I don't know if you can either. I don't know if that's a thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a thing, but like just, you know, there was a period of time where you could get like sure it wasn't an iPod, but like even an iPod Shuffle or whatever was like $40. Whereas like, you know, before it was like 400,
yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
And so just like the cost difference as, you know, they tweak the, you know, the software, and they, you know, make improvements and make it more cost effective and, you know, drive the cost down and see what the demand is and blah, blah, blah. I've already seen like, you were like, oh, we're way off from that. I've already seen like concierge type medical facilities where you walk in, they're like either scanning your, like your retina, like a clear, like eye scan, to like identify the patient. And then like you give like a brief summary. All of the triage essentially is automated. So like you go in and you get, you know, like your temperature taken, you get a quick blood draw, and you do like an automated blood pressure and like, you know, all of these things that's like all automated, right? And you're walking through this, and then like, you're like basically presenting your own history, right? So like, you know, a nurse isn't seeing you and like scribing out your history. Like you're giving that up front, and then you see like a provider really quick and they give you, you know, what you need, and then you're out the door. And like, that is what they are, I think, like the model of health is going towards for like, I think they're trialing it for these individuals, and they're very much targeting like young professional aged people who don't have a lot of time, who have a dispensable income and can spend money on it, and don't like going to the doctor, but like know that they need to, you know, go see somebody. And like efficiency is king versus somebody who likes to sit and talk and chat with their doctor and like have this relationship and all of those things. But I think they're testing it in this market in an attempt to push like the urgent care model to that, to help streamline the urgent care model, which is very interesting, I think. But anyways, blah, blah, blah. Let's give AI personalized healthcare rating out of 5 stars. What would you rate this trend?
I mean, because the thing I really see, and it's probably less, and I'll get into like, there's another one that kind of piggybacks on top of this, but I feel like this is going to, I don't know, I want to say like 4.
Whoa.
But
So
I think that for me, it's going like this will, and when you get through, I mean, it kind of blows my mind that like you could have, knock on wood, something bad happen to you, a family member have cancer, and AI could go through every cancer treatment and give you like the highest percentage of like, this is what you should do because I ran your DNA, and I like at least give you more of a, I don't want to say fighting chance, but like more of a understanding exactly of where you should go and what's going to happen. and I feel like it's only going to get probably more advanced and more better. That's probably not the best way to put that,
more
but
better.
more better. So I think it's going to be definitely down the road. It may be a little uncomfortable for some of us who have grown up in the healthcare system now, but I feel like it's going to probably be the wave of the future where there's not much human interaction anymore.
Yeah. I'm also so curious about like how AI is programmed. Like I don't really understand it clearly. But like if a human is had to create it, because I was going to say it also will take out like a lot of personal bias, right?
Yeah.
Which I think will be really interesting to see. But like again, if a human is programming it and like setting it up, is there some inherent bias already programmed into it? I don't really know. Anyways, I'm giving it this year in 2024, I'm giving it 2.75 stars. Just because I think it's so new. I think it's really exciting. There's a lot of good, but I think it can go a couple of different ways. And I think it can be utilized really well, but I also think it could be not very well received by the general public as well, especially from the older patient population that is maybe more resistant to technology and not having that like personal relationship with their doctor or their provider. And
So you're saying the state of Idaho is just screwed because they don't like change at all.
Well, I just think like I was looking at it. There was a statistic that I saw that was basically like we're in a day and age where there are more people over the age of 65 than under the age of 5. Right. And so like we have an aging population. And so while we need to have these, technological advancements happen for the, population that's upcoming, the population that it would be, best utilized for and tested on is probably the patient population that's most resistant to technology like this,
Because they don't like change ever.
Well, yeah, and just technology. Like I can already like I won't name any names, but I could already imagine like 3 people in my life that would be like, I don't want no damn robot telling me what medicine to take, like so I think it definitely has its limitations out of the gate, but I would be shocked if we were not talking about this again next year.
Yeah. So on that one, here's an interesting one, which I want to see it. I mean, there's a lot of these. This one particularly interested me because I feel like it could be like just everywhere. And that is the new concept that they're putting together of virtual healthcare assistants. So basically assistants or chat box that can access your medical records, your treatments, your diagnosis. And it's also can be like it. So it has like a complete interface. Mm-hmm. It can set up like through your doctor's schedules for medication, for exercise. And then you would put it like on your phone in like, you could also have it like, I think of which, I mean, I know this scares a little bit of people, but like it can be connected to like your Alexa or whoever you have in the house.
Yeah.
And basically it's like whether you have questions or so like if something's not working well, you could, throw it in there to have your virtual assistant ask a question back to your doctor and have like that as like like instead of calling, it's like that intermediary. Yeah, that one. But it can also set up reminders for medications. It can like ask you, so it would be there all the time and kind of like it's really funny to me because it reminds me a little bit of, you're probably too young for this, but you would watch shows of like Star Trek and they would just talk and the computer would just be there and the computer would be like, oh, it would have an answer for you, or it could like schedule stuff, like just do everything. Yeah. And healthcare has kind of taken that and said like, how can we increase healthcare at home for people? Mm-hmm. and like, you know what I mean? And create that whole network of everything and then like integrate your own stuff into it. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I'm here for this one because I think it's essentially outsourcing and utilizing technology in a low stakes way, right? And taking off of the plate a lot of the management side of things that like a lot of doctors or healthcare providers get bogged down with, which then frees them up to, take care of the things that actually take their like critical thinking and decision making. So I'm here for it. I like the how those like chat bots have progressed over the years is crazy. I know it's only going to continue to get better, but like being able to automate some of those things, I and like I'm thinking about it um in terms of, how would it fit into my life? And like I had on like my pregnancy tracking app, like when I first got pregnant, it was basically this like chatbot that came up on my app. And it was like, saying all of these things. And then it was like, okay, by this date, you need to have your first, appointment set up. And it was just like things that I could have called the doctor's office and they could have told me all these things. But this was just like a running list of like all of the things you need to take care of, right out of the gate. And it was like a running list. And I felt like, okay, great. I have something to run off of and I can like go from there. I think about it a lot for, a lot of individuals have like a nurse's line to their pediatrician and can like text them and send pictures of a rash or a this or a that. And like, that would be so beneficial for, AI. Like I think about like this app that I have called Plant Snap, right? Like I take a picture of a plant and it tells me and it identifies what it is, right? Like we could do the same thing for, different skin ailments. Take a picture of a laceration and be like, do I need stitches or not? Like,
Right.
all of these different things that I think could be that like first step, right? And then could then be distributed almost like that triage, right? Like be that first triage and then be distributed to the party that would be able to better assist with that question or that thing. And then at the end, like whenever you're on one of those helpline chat boxes or whatever, like customer support or whatever it might be, there's still like did this answer your question or do you still have questions? And you can press yes or no, and then they still connect you with like a live human. And so that could still be a thing where it's like, did this answer your question? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, then like you would still get connected to like some sort of like telehealth nurse or something like that. And I think that would be a great use of resources. So I'm here for this.
I like it a lot too. The other population, I see it being very beneficial, but there will be some kickback, is what you mentioned in the other one, the elderly population, where you can do things as far as, and I'm sure it'll get there someday, like, because I've seen these machines too, as like remind people to take their medications, like remind them of doctor's appointments. It can do all those things where like you might, especially when you see like people with dementia, like that might be a very good benefit to be like, hey, here's a reminder for this. And like you can customize or set reminders. So like if their memory is not good, you can tell them something in the morning and that they don't remember in the afternoon. Like that's a good way to like plug in reminders.
100%.
I also saw that one of them where it was, and I'm wondering to see if these could interface, is like medications where like it's digitally set out so you can't mess it up. Like you put the medications in each thing, and each day like you can program what it wants. Like, you know what I mean? Like I take this pill twice a week, I take this pill daily, and like it'll just pop it out and like you have it there. So I think things like that, if you could integrate both those, you're going to have reminders of like when it's low, like all those things. I think this is just going to be, I know some people will have some resistance because there's less human interaction, but I think day to day, these type of things are just going to be more and more valuable. Because I mean, if you look at, I don't know,
and
if
more and more normalized too as we progress.
Like and I hate to say this, like I don't know if you've ever had to look into for grandparents or elderly people that that little button that you press if you fall and you can't get up, the commercials, like
Yeah.
Lifeline. Like this could literally be an easy way to have Lifeline all around the house. If you have, Alexas everywhere and something happens, it can call, you know what I mean? So these type of things are only going to increase. The only problem I see with these, like anything, is it is wonderful and smooth until it doesn't work, and then it creates a giant headache. But if it works the way it's supposed to, I think it'll be very, very beneficial.
Yeah, I agree. I think like great, just great opportunity for, technology to free individuals up to utilize their brain space better. And I think that will only benefit the healthcare system as a whole, but then also just like make things more convenient. And I think things will also stop slipping through the cracks as well in terms of, like you were saying, medication management and things like that for individuals. Yeah, I give it 4 stars because I still think there are some drawbacks in terms of like what can get lost in translation with a AI chatbot type thing. And it could be something like when we're talking about health, right? Versus like, phone customer service. I think there's a lot more at stake there. And
Sure.
so still cautious. I really like it and I want to give it, 4.5, 5 stars. But when we're speaking in the realm of health, I think there's a lot more at stake. And so to exercise some healthy caution there.
I think the same. I think the only drawbacks that I saw will be, I have a feeling it's going to be largely like you're going to have to buy some sort of, at home talking, like Alexa, like something like that, which has come down a lot. It's not a great expense, but I know that can be something for someone. And the other thing that just because I've dealt with it in my life is I'm sure it's going to be internet based. And until we find a way to cover internet, globally with no problems, that will always be like a kind of a hiccup in all this.
Yeah, totally. I agree. Yeah, I'm here for it overall, but I'm excited to see how it just continues to get like more and more dialed in.
Sure.
What else do we have?
This is the last one I have because I know we're running. So 3D printing, which is really big. Sure. 3D printing implements to organs.
Yes.
And different life saving. So there's a lot of effort being put for a lot of different things, like 3D printing, like like surgical instruments that you may or may not have that you need for specific procedures, dental implants, prosthetics, and then they're starting to look at, there's always like organ donors and like, can we create organs for people? And there's and have them successfully be implanted, and then you wouldn't have to have a list anymore. You would just be able to like, oh, you need, a kidney? We'll print a kidney, we'll base it on your DNA, and then we'll move from there.
Yeah. I think that's crazy. It would be so cool, right? But like, I think in that process, there's going to be a lot of trial and unfortunately error, right? And then in that same breath, like, it's well studied and there's good, forecasts for life expectancy after X type of transplant and what to expect, the success rate, the failure rate, like of all of these different things. And we're in that learning curve for this to where like, if somebody gets this, artificially printed kidney, right, we have essentially zero data to forecast the success rate of that. Even if it like initially works, how long does it last in the body? Blah, blah, blah. Right. So they're like, that is a little scary. But I'm sure there are individuals out there that maybe have been waiting long enough or too long or whatever. Like, my aunt passed away waiting for lungs. Right. So like, it hits home for me that like, it would be if we're talking like 10 years in the future, right, we could 3D print some lungs for somebody and they could have, a successful transplant and live a healthy life. Like, I mean, that's crazy to think about and so insane to think that if that happened earlier, she might still be with us today. Like things like that are crazy. But at the same time, I think there's a huge uphill battle that we're going to be working, not against, but just like we're going to be working through in order to get it to a place where it's actually implementable. Like how long have we been talking about freaking flying cars?
Yeah. Well, and I read an article the other day about a lady who was so she had some sort of congenital heart problem where she had to get a transplant, and then she got a transplant, and then it only lasted about 10 years and it's failing.
Yeah.
And because of her condition, they're not putting her back on the list because they're like, you have and I don't know, like I briefly went over it. You have like a 80% chance of rejection again. And so when I look at these type of things, I think it could potentially have a wonderful effect, like as we work through it, as far as like, oh, that one didn't work. Let's print you a new one. And let's see, you know what I mean? Like there's going to be a cost associated, but it's not at the cost it is right now where there's only so few of them. And you know what I mean? Like if we have to run through a lot of them, if you can keep affording to do it. But I think in those cases too, you're going to find people who would I'll love to do it because I have no other options. And like, it's better than anything else. Like if I can't it gives me a shot. So let's try it. So, I think right now I would give it like probably a 1 or a 2 because I don't think it's there yet. But eventually this could be, think about it. If you have some sort of cancer and you detect it early, they're like, oh, you have liver cancer. Well, we're just going to take it out, print you a new one. And then you'll go about like before it even metastasizes or leaves, you can just swap those things out. So potential could be amazing. It's just going to take a long time for that potential to, to reach itself.
I don't mean to laugh because we're talking about cancer and things that are like very life or death. But when you were like, just take that one out and put a new one in, it reminds me of like when you've left a Tupperware in the fridge for far too long. And so instead of like dumping it out and cleaning it out, like the whole Tupperware just goes. Right?
There might be some accountability things. Like you can't just be like, I'm just going to keep drinking until this liver gives up and I'll go get me a new one real quick.
Get me a new liver. just toss this one out. Like that's where my brain went. I was like, oh, the Tupperware is too far gone, or the shaker bottle has had protein in it for too long. I'll just toss the whole thing out, get a new shaker bottle.
We're just gonna the shaker bottle that you're just like, oh, I forgot about that. Damn it.
Good. Anyways. Okay. I am going to rapid fire, I think 3 at you, and I want you to just give me a star rating.
Okay.
With no context.
Okay.
Number 1, goodbye caffeine.
0. 0.
0 stars. I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. There's actually good research to support some, low doses of caffeine, but they are talking about this like boom of decaf and replacements of like matcha, mushroom coffee, lion's mane, like things like that, kind of taking a resurgence in 2024. 0 stars from Tyler. Okay, so the 2024 buzzword. So the buzzword of 2023 was biohacking. LOL. The buzzword of 2024, longevity.
I would say a 3, but that's mostly because when I see some people talk about longevity, some of the things I've seen in the longevity world are just a little bit, they're just like not necessary. You know what I mean? There are things where I'm like, yeah, that's taking it too far. We'll put it that way. You're overshooting your target.
Yeah, I think it goes into the as a overall concept, great. But if I know who's going to be talking about the concept of longevity, I know we're going to get really lost in the weeds, and that's not what 99% of the population needs, you know.
Sure.
But like, I think it's a step forward from quote unquote biohacking.
Sure.
Oh, so how many stars? How many did you say? Three stars? I'm going to give it 4.
I like the idea, but I would have to know more about where they're taking it.
3.5 stars. A plant-based overhaul.
0. I mean, here's the problem is like I want to know where like this huge push for this is coming from, because it's not, I just seem so money and politically driven to me.
Our tinfoil hat episode.
Yeah, it makes me, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but we'll move on.
Okay. 0 stars from Tyler. Bum, 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 bum. This one kind of piggybacks off of that. There is a new book, which I'm not even gonna say but like cool, but it piggybacks off the other thing. We're essentially like demonizing really great forms of protein. And we're creating like, it's all of these people talking about like inclusion and, you know, all intuitive eating. But like when we do it like this, we're still creating like a food hierarchy, you know, and it just pisses me off. Anyways, the concept is 30 plants per week. And it's based off of a book that is like the 30 plan. It's just another meal plan. And I like the concept of creating and like advocating for variety in your diet, because there's a lot to support getting variety in our like on like what's on our plate. So I think that's really cool. But again, like calling it a blank plan or creating this food hierarchy of this is good and this is bad, like isn't actually helping us move forward at all.
Sure.
Okay, last one. We'll end on a light note. Racket sports.
I mean, sure, if you want to, go for it.
Pickleball, baby.
I've never played pickleball.
Oh my God.
Never. I don't even, I mean, a lot of people are into it. I just haven't tried it yet. Like, so.
Oh my God.
But if it's anything like my tennis experiment when I was in an apartment complex, it did not go well. Like, I am not a racket sport human being, but I'll give anything a try twice, as Sam says.
Pickleball is dope. I'm here for it. 5 stars.
All right.
Let's go to the sauna, wrap this up. And do you have trivia?
I do have trivia.
All right, let's hit it.
Welcome, everyone. It's time to head to sauna. Let's dive in. Let's go.
All right. Takeaways from today.
I'm going to do a giant brief takeaway, which is directed at specific people. But don't get mad. I'm throwing this out there. There's a lot of things that are coming our way that hopefully show great benefit, but they have a lot of basis in technology.
Yes.
And the more that we understand that is where things are going, understand it will not be perfect. It's going to have its bumps and bruises, but it is change and it should be more beneficial. And the more we kind of wrap our heads around that and find this should be good, or open our minds to it, the more we'll be able to embrace and have a healthier future.
Love that.
Basically, change is going to happen, so we're going to have to get on board, but it's not necessarily a bad thing.
I like that. To piggyback off of Tyler, get on board or get out, because the world of health is moving forward.
I mean,
with some healthy caution. I guess that's my takeaway.
Yeah, no, that's probably a good way to put
there's
it.
gray to everything. I think we can we have the desire for everything to be black and white, and I think with anything there's gray. And I think that in itself may be the drawback of AI and technologically focused future is maybe not having the third party that can assess the gray. So there's my caveat.
There you go. Like it.
Hit me with this trivia.
All right, here we go. Oh, it disappeared on me. What happened? Okay. This food is technically a berry, but you wouldn't think it was a berry, but it is actually classified as a berry. You might eat it every day of your life.
I don't know what constitutes a berry.
You can find them in almost any grocery store. They're usually right up front.
An apple?
Close.
Oh, you said every day. I was thinking like an apple a day. An orange?
No.
An avocado? A tomato? I don't know. Grapes?
Bananas are technically berries.
Ah. Is each banana in a banana cluster like a banana seed? How is it classified?
Bananas are classified as berries because they come from a single seed. I don't know.
Other fruits don't?
I don't know.
I need to fact check this. I'm going to be doing some Googling later.
Reader's Digest might be leading you wrong.
Okay, next.
What is the oldest fast food chain in America?
Carl's Jr. Arby's. I don't know.
Most people think it's McDonald's. It is actually White Castle.
White Castle. I was thinking, I was like, McDonald's, it can't be McDonald's because that's too, like, that's what they want you to think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Percentage of Americans that take their coffee black in the morning.
%48.
20%.
Oh man. Boo. What's everybody doing out there?
I don't know. Pilgrims are responsible for this fruit coming to America.
Is a squash a fruit?
That I don't know, but that's not the answer. So we can.
No, a squash is a vegetable, but I think a squash is like that same thing, like with a tomato, with like the seeds inside. So is it technically a fruit? I'm going to say the strawberry.
Close. Apples.
I was gonna say apple, but then I was like, wait, I'm gonna really out myself here in terms of my lack of history timeline knowledge. And I was like, well, when did Sir Isaac Newton
fall on his head? Boink.
Yeah. And then like Johnny Appleseed, when did all of that happen? And
no one knows. We just
Anyways.
remember hearing it. Last,
All right.
but certainly not least,
okay.
though Italy often gets credit for this, lasagna was actually originated where?
Oh. Spain.
Close.
Where?
Greece.
Oh.
Damn Italy, just taking all the credit for lasagna. It was actually in Greece.
You don't have to be first, you just have to be better.
Better. There you go. Be better, Greece.
That's
Marketed it better.
That's your takeaway for today, everybody. You don't have to be first, you just have to be better. I hope you guys all have a great week, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening.